So our first performer tonight is Gerry Courtney in When Winning Feels Like Losing. In 1963, Gerry was one of the three most popular boys in his sixth grade class. The trio enjoyed their notoriety, but were acutely aware that every new sixth grader could lead to them being dethroned. Please welcome Gerry Courtney.
Before I start, I'd like to make an announcement. This story is dedicated to all the young people who can't find solace at home or at school. When I was in sixth grade, your popularity was really dependent upon, one, if you could fight, two, if you could play basketball, and three, if you could run fast. Clay was the guy who had the fastest fist. He was the toughest. Willie was the best basketball player, and I was the fastest. We all thought together that together, the three of us, were empowered by the idea that we could do something that nobody else could do. But at night, by myself, I always worried that some guy was going to transfer into our school and outrun me. And once that happened, my self-esteem was shot. I loved running. I loved running so much that I told my mother about the victories that I had. And I didn't share anything about my life with my mother, except that. I'll give you an example. One day, I beat this seventh grader in a race, and that hardly ever happened at our school. And I ran home to tell my mother, I was so excited. Mom, I beat this, but where was she? I couldn't see her. Then all of a sudden, from behind me, she ambushed me. Bam, smacked the head, smacked to the side of the face. And then the one that really hurt was he slapped my ear and bent over. What did I do? What did I do? He said, I'll tell you what you did. Sister Mary Rose called and said you were on the monkey bars long after the final bell rang to get back after lunch. You're the only white child on there. The rest were Negroes. You like Negroes so much, I'll put you in a public school. How do you like that? I go, I don't care. Get in your room. Get in there and stay in there until morning. So I did. I woke up, got the apology note that she wrote out, put it in my notebook, and went off to school. I didn't care if I had breakfast or I didn't have dinner. I was so high about beating that seventh grader. I was so high, I didn't care. I'm walking to school. The school is on my left. And where the people drop their kids off were on my right. But as I walked by the cars, I saw a vision. It wasn't like some burning bush out of the Bible or the Virgin Mary. This was a better vision of that version. It was a brand new 1963 highly polished black Cadillac DeVille. Just stared at that. The adults got out of the front and this girl exited in the back. She was the most beautiful girl I ever saw. I watched her walk up the sidewalk. She was tall too. She was taller than ninth graders. And our school only went up 8 feet. I watched her walk up, but then my brain was saying, well, how about the Cadillac? So I'm looking at that, then I'm looking at her, then I'm looking at that. I finally settled on the Cadillac. I mean, what do you want? I'm only 11 years old. So I looked at the Cadillac, and then the bell rang for school, so ran into school. Sister Teresa was my first period teacher, and I liked her okay for a nun. It was a reading class. And in this reading class, there were 5 rows, and I hated this class because of it. The first row were the best readers. Those were the Eagles. The second row were almost as good, and those were the hawks. The third row were the robins. That was the Michigan State bird. Fun fact. Well, not really, but my teacher thought it was a fun fact. The fourth row were the chickens, and the chickens' goal was not to end up in the final row, because everybody in the school knew that the worst sixth grade readers were in that row, and they were known as the Blackbirds. And I was the only white kid in the Blackbirds. Sister Therese was out in the hallway talking, and she didn't come in right away, which is very unusual. And when she walked in, she had somebody with her. You know who it was?
Yeah,
Who?
that girl from the Cadillac.
That's right, the Cadillac Coupe de Ville girl. She walked in and she said, "Hey, class, this is Vanita Snipes. And she's new to our school, and I want you to welcome her. And Vanita, you are very lucky. You're in the first row with the Eagles." My heart was going like this all over my torso. It was going so fast. I never felt that feeling before. And then there's a knock on the door. Who walks in but Miss Jackson? And that heart quit racing around. My heart felt like it was pumping mud at this point. It just like evaporated. Miss Jackson would come in and take 3 blackbirds every so often and give them extra help down in her office. I would like to see Willie Wood, Gerald Courtney, and I can't read the last name, Smith. And Leroy raises his hand. Come on, gentlemen. He starts to walk. We started to follow her. And right when you're in front of the class, this always happened. The Eagles and some of the Hawks would go, I'm trying to go to the funny room. So retarded. She said, "It's not funny. How'd you like to be them?" And then we walk out. And I always wanted to talk to Vanita as soon as I met her. But after Miss Jackson did that, I couldn't talk to Vanita for a month. But Vanita was doing pretty well for that first month. I mean, most of the girls liked her, and even the boys in 8th grade liked her. One day at recess, she did something that I never saw even the most popular girls in our school do. She ran up behind Clay and took his cap and started to run. Clay looked at me and said, Arf, will you please chase her down, get my cap? Arf was my street name. Nobody had a street name unless Clay gave it to you. One day I asked him, Arf, why did you give me the name Arf? Clay said, because when you get mad, you start yapping like a little dog. So I was Arf. Anyway, I'm running after Vanita, but I'm not running very hard because she's a girl and I'm a guy. But she was pulling away, so I had to use up some more energy to follow her. She's still pulling away. Now I'm running pretty fast. And she's still pulling away. Now I'm going flat out like I'm racing any boy. And she's still effortlessly pulling away from me. And I do like what most 6th grade cool guys do. I peeled back from her, went over to my friends and said, I'm too busy to chase her. That's what I was looking like on the outside. But inside I was, oh no, this is my worst nightmare. This is worse than my worst nightmare. I always knew that some guy might beat me, but I never knew that a girl would destroy me. And 1 month away was the Junior Olympics. Usually it took a long time. If you said, oh, you got a dentist appointment in a month and you're in 6th grade, it took forever. This took like no time. I woke up race day morning. I try to keep everything just the way it usually goes in the morning. I put my tricks in the cereal bowl, walked in, turned on the TV to watch the Three Stooges, like I usually do. I love when Mo would go up the side of Curly's head or poke Larry's in the eyes. I love that. But Three Stooges weren't on that morning. What was on that morning were police beating African Americans and fire hosing them. They let out dogs and they're ripping into their sides and in their arms. I never saw anything like it. Little kids being arrested. I said, Mom, come here. She came in, said, where is this? And she goes, look at dumbbell. It says right at the bottom of the screen, it's Birmingham, Alabama. Well, why are the police doing this to these people? Because they're not following the orders. And if you continue your nonsense with your hoodlum friends, the Detroit police will be doing the same thing to you. I watched for a little bit more, not because I liked what I was looking at, but because I kept Benita out of my head. Well, anyway, when I decided to go to school, things sped up so fast. My 4 classes went by really fast. The next thing I knew, I was on the playground. Ledman was putting down the chalk for the race. It was the same kind of thing. Usually, people are yelling and screaming. That's how it usually was. But there were a couple of different things that weren't as usual. One of them was not all the girls were cheering for me. Remember this one girl with a sock puppet? She's going, go, Benita, go. Beat Courtney. He's a blackbird. And even my friend Ricky, who was in 8th grade, he was the fastest kid in 8th grade. When you're the fastest kid in 8th grade, you're the fastest kid in the school. And he looked at me and he said, Arf, if you let a girl beat you, I'm going to laugh my butt off. My legs were shaking. Ledman already put down the chalk and told us to get into the lane that we were given. My lane was number 5. Benita's was number 4. I looked at her legs, they weren't shaking. I looked at her face, and she looked bored. He said, he took out his starter's pistol. Okay, get ready. I looked at that starter's pistol, and I wished it was a real gun, and he'd come over to my head and blow my head off. I didn't want to live. I knew what was going to happen. Take your marks. It's set, go, and we took off. Right away, Benita took a 1-inch lead, and it stayed like that until about the halfway point. And then she pulled away. She went up about 3 inches on me. I'm running faster than I ever ran again. Again, when I was going faster than I ever did before. Finally, with 10 yards to go, I closed my eyes because I didn't want to see what was going to happen. And I ran and I ran. And the next thing I felt was my hand hitting the finish line string. And then my chest breaking the string. And when I opened my eyes, I was losing my balance and slid forward. All the guys started piling on me. Way to go, way to go. They're punching me in the back of the head and rubbing my face into the ground. That's how 6th graders celebrated victory back then. I could hear Ledman coming up. Get off of him! Get off of him! The load was getting lighter on my back. What's wrong with you animals? Then I was in a kneeling position. He took out the first place medal that was in his pocket of his bag and pants and put it over my head. A real crappy medal too. And I'm looking down there, and then he looks at the rest of us and says, the first moron that's late for my class, I'm going to suspend. And then he walked away. So I got up and I started to walk back to the schools too. And I looked way down there and I could see Benita walking by herself. And I said, how come she was so fast last month, but she is so slow today? I didn't get it. I wasn't feeling good about winning this race. And I walked all the way back to the school. And when I opened the door to get in, there was a big garbage can full of half-eaten cheese sandwiches and some cold chocolate milk containers. And I took off my medal, threw it in the garbage. Luckily, there were only 3 weeks left in school, and then we were out for the summer. So it was easy for me to duck Benita. I didn't want to see her, I didn't want to talk to her. But the very last day of school, when the bell rang, which was the favorite part of my year, really, the last day of school, I didn't have to come back to this dump for 2 months. When that bell rang, I started to walk towards the entrance and get out of the school, and there was Benita. I looked at her and she looked at me. She goes, "Hi, Arf, Arf." I go, "Hi, Benita. Hey, can I ask you a question?" She said, "Sure." I said, "Remember that race we had?" And she goes, "The Junior Olympics?" And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Did you let me win?" She goes, "Yeah." I go, "Why?" She says, "Because it's more important for boys to win than girls." And she looked out at the street. She says, "My dad." So she started walking to the door, and then she turned and looked at me and she said, Arf, I'm not coming back here. My dad wants me to go to a more challenging school. Bye." And she started to trot towards the Coupe de Ville. And I thought, man, I should have given her my number. I wanted to ask her why she thought it was more important for boys to win than girls. I wanted to tell her I love her. I wanted to ask her dad if I could get a ride in that Coupe de Ville. Then I looked to my left, and it was my mother. And she was driving that moldy old Ford Fairlane, but she was hauling. She bounced over the curb, slammed on the brakes, slammed the door, and was headed for the school. And I go, "Oh no." She found out that I lied. I told her that I graduated from the Blackbirds to the Chickens just to keep her shut up over the summer. I ran away from the front door. I was heading for the back door, and then Ledman got me, put me in a hammer lock, and walked me to his office. He said, "Courtney, how did you think you were going to get away with lying about this? If you would fess up before your mother gets here, maybe she won't be so hard on you." As soon as I thought that through, my mother comes in. She almost kicks open the door and goes, "Mrs. Courtney, we were just..." My mother didn't want to hear anything from Ledman. Her eyes were fixed on me, and she went. I've been through this before, so I sat down. I knew what was going to happen. Ledman on one side, my mother on the other, and about a half an hour of just screaming. She came in and she said to Ledman, "I am so sick and tired of coming up to this school maybe twice a week. I want you to know something, Mr. Ledman. I had a scholarship to the Providence, Rhode Island Academy for Catholic Girls. And they didn't give out scholarships very often. And I had almost all A's. And when I didn't get an A, I was humiliated. And him, he never saw an A in his life. He devours F's as most people eat popcorn. The only thing he talks about is running. Oh, I beat this guy. I beat that guy. I did this. I'm so fast. Who cares? Your racing skills can't get you from that chair to that door. Everything of consequence in life you don't know about. You can't read, you can't write, you can't do math. History, you know what happened yesterday? I have more skill in my little finger than your entire body. She looks at Ledman and says, I don't deserve him. I really don't. How did it end up like I had carrying this burden? I got good grades. I like my teachers. I follow the rules. Even Lennon was a little shaken up. You know? He doesn't like anything under the sun. That's established. The only thing he likes is running. How about we take running away from him? You know? Hit him where it hurts. Go ahead and take him running away from me. I don't care. I'm not going to run anymore anyway. He said, yeah, that's right. I'm not going to run anymore because Benita beat me. My mother said, "What's a Benita?" Levin said, "It's a colored girl who transferred in here last February. And her father's taking her out of the school now, so she's not coming back." And I said, "I love her." My mom said, "What did you say?" And I said, "I love her." What do you know about love? Mr. Ledman, I don't understand his fascination with Negroes. I really don't. I can see him in Jackson State Penitentiary. How is he going to survive? If you have any words of wisdom, say it now because I'm taking them. He kind of went up behind me, so I'm sitting here. He kind of went this. You want to be a winner? You want to be a winner, then you need to get down to business. Because if you don't, took his bad breath right to my ear. Because if you don't, you're going to be a black bird for the rest of your life. Can you grasp what he's saying? Do you understand? He's saying that your life is going to be ruined. For the love of God, let us help you.
Ooh, what an intense story, but well done. Gerry Courtney. All right, our second performer tonight is Coline Lebeau in The Wisdom of a Llama. Remember when you were 17, trying to figure out what to do with your life? Maybe you already knew which way to go. Or maybe you were overwhelmed by all the opportunities opening up to you. Or maybe you knew nothing at all. So what should you do when you feel completely lost? Let's find out, folks. Please welcome Coline Lebeau.
It's dark. I cannot see anything, which is not going to help because I don't know where I am and I don't know where I'm going. Okay, I know I'm like close to this little town, Cochabamba, Bolivia, and I'm supposed to go to this spiritual center that I found online for some volunteering, but I have no address, no phone number, and no data on my cell phone anyway. So, you know, I thought it was a famous place that it would be easy to find, but ends up that even the bus driver is pretty confused. So he ends up telling us, me and my friend, that a lot of gringos, sometimes go there, so we might try it for luck. So it's what we do. And we get out of the bus. And we're walking to this little house, hidden behind the trees. And as we approach the house, 5 dogs suddenly run to us barking, and this boy holding the stick. Ah! Okay, sorry, permiso, I don't know, we're just looking for this, for this community, this little place, with a shaman. Well, he obviously doesn't understand, this place with a shaman, and out of nowhere, coming out of the bushes, this old lady comes out and I know where it is. Follow me. That's what we do. We follow her on this dirt track in the middle of the darkness. What am I doing here? We finally arrive to this big door. It's late. Hope it's the right place. And we knock, knock, knock. Door opens. Great. It exists. My friend is relieved. Oh, wow. Finally. What a day. Thank you, ma'am, to welcoming us. Oh, we can't smoke here. Okay, big time. This is where I realized that my English is maybe worse than my Spanish, because alcohol-free, tobacco-free, drugs-free doesn't actually mean free alcohol, free tobacco, and free drugs. So the vibe kind of changed here. I made a lot of life choices based on a really poor amount of information. I decided to get baptized, thinking God would give me superpowers. I studied music after school to play only this one song on the flute. Without realizing it would take me 13 years to actually do that. And I started a bachelor degree based on the word communication, because I thought that, I would get better at it. I was introvert and shy. And it's 2 years in, I realized I was learning the ropes of marketing and how to become a good community manager, like me. Me. Like my last account on the social media platform was MySpace. Even now, I'm not really sure how to use my iMac G3 properly, and faxes are not vintage, it's real. So, so this bachelor degree, I don't know what it meant to me exactly, but several times in my life, I asked myself, how come I don't make more thoughtful choices? Is it a lack of curiosity? Or laziness, or impulse? No matter the case, remaining ignorant has one advantage. You always learn something unexpected. And so this is how I end up in this spiritual center built by this shaman who spent 30 years of his life building this ecological reserve. If you don't know what a shaman is, it's like a medium, between the natural and the supernatural forces that use magic to cure illness and foretell the future and control the spiritual forces. So I'm in this school, a school to learn to live, no less. It's a beautiful property. It's huge. You have many trees. Gardens are vibrant with colors. You see some llamas, grazing on the grass, cats and dogs. And the life here is really peaceful, it's really slow, so you can really immerse yourself in the present moment. And the shaman of this place is called Shaman. Shamalou is really known to be this spiritual guide to the, Pachamama, Mother Earth, ancestors. Shamalou wrote a lot of books. Shamalou is really respected among his worshippers. Shamalou is never here because he's really busy with all the conferences he has around the world. But yeah, I didn't know Shamalou before arriving there, but obviously he's someone really respected and really known, and he helped a lot of people. And the idea is simple. You help managing the property, you clean, you do gardening, some cooking with the vegetables from the garden in exchange for food and accommodation. And you do that, and every night we gather, in this little round house, and we place a little carpet on the floor with twigs and feathers and candles and water to represent the 4 elements. And the first night we talk about like, oh, why are we here? And all the nights we just listen to Shamalou's conferences on the laptop because he's not there. And yeah, and the rest of the time where, we can do whatever we want, which is mostly chilling out. And so, I'm cleaning. And, I always looked for a purpose in life. Like, I always tried to find like my passion and like something that would drive my life, because this bachelor degree in communication was not it. And I'm really lost right now. This is the perfect time for me to reflect and to be really aware of what I want to do next. And I heard from other volunteers. What was that? Okay. What am I doing? So I've been cleaning the toilets for like 5 days now. And other volunteers are just translating Shamalou's books. And that looks more fun. So, so what about I read one of these books? Existential Reengineering to Reinvent Your Life. Okay. To know that we're gonna die helps us live with more intensity. Deep. Don't waste your life by being unhappy and other bad habits. Yeah, right. Trees are like us. They are alive and they aim for the light. Next time you walk in the forest, hug a tree to give it some love, and it will give you love in return. Don't care about the people around you. There's no shame in grading another being. Hey, that's right. Like, who cares what people think? You are what you eat. Talk to your food before eating with love and gratitude, so it will fill your body with light. Don't do this at the table with other people, though. They will think it's weird. Okay, so you can hug a tree, no problem, but talking to your food is not okay. Well, I think maybe he's a philosopher, this Shamalou, but he seems plagued with contradiction. Some volunteers are building a house with their own hands. It's pretty impressive. Looks way more fun than grading this dry horse shit with this grid to fill a bathtub. Fertilizer. no gloves. You know, I've been thinking about this food thing. Okay. And you know, I'm thinking about all the conversations I could have with my food, you know, and how it will help me, you know, improve with my life. You know, I'm thinking about all the conversations I could have with the potato, you know. Oh, thank you for being on my plate at every single meal for the last few weeks of this trip. Thank you for existing in 300 different varieties to, you know, conquer the world. Thank you for being edible, baked and boiled and sauteed and grilled and roasted and baked to make my life a nightmare. Why do you want so much attention? Stop looking at me like that. You know, talking about food, you know, we've been cooking with these vegetables from the garden, and we are used to the lack of salt, the lack of pepper, the lack of herbs, the lack of spices, the lack of taste. And every night, I look at my friend, you know, since the beginning of the trip, he didn't seem to really enjoy himself. And he is looking at his soup, which is mostly like just hot water with floating potatoes and carrots. And he looks sad. No, he looks desperate. And tomorrow is his birthday. And I'm thinking like, you know, what can I do to make his birthday a bit better, you know, to help him with, I don't know, cheering him a little bit more. And while I'm thinking, grading the horse shit, I come up with a great idea. What about I go to town, buy some ingredients, make some crepes, some crumble, a bolognese, a brownie, I don't know, something like this, and, you know, share it with the full, you know, the entire community. That sounds like a great idea. And maybe I should explain to you how a usual meal looks like at this center. It's some reading. It's some journaling. And meditating. But today, it's party time. And today is different. This is where I witnessed the power of food. No, the power of sugar. The lunch suddenly becomes chaotic. And the more the people eat, the more their eyes open wide. And they start just talking faster and faster and louder. And they are just thrilled by telling, you know, sex jokes. Even Pedro, the one's always listening to shamanist conferences all day, is just like, ha ha ha, ha, just laughing. And they're so loud, I've never seen that before. And I'm just watching them speechless. It's like they're just losing it in front of me. They're like on cocaine. And they certainly didn't talk to their food beforehand.
Yeah.
Now I've been walking for like 3 hours now, back and forth. I'm just watching the river with a shovel. Now you're gonna ask me, why are you watching the river with a shovel, Coline? Well, I would love to explain it to you, but I'm myself a bit confused. So just know that I'm protecting the water from thieves. And I've been walking, and actually I'm tired since it's been 3 hours, so. And tomorrow, shaman arrives at the center. And I've been thinking of all the conversations, you know, I'm gonna have with him. I'm really excited, as if I was going to meet the Dalai Lama or something, you know, and I really want to share the wisdom he has to give me. Maybe he's gonna give good advice. on how to do better with my life, maybe. Okay. Oh. This woman, coming towards me. She has the old, outfit from Bolivia, like this big dress with a patchwork of colors and like this little tippy top hat. And she, okay. She gives me the baby. Okay. Well, thank you. This is not exactly. This is hey, where are you going? I have a river to watch. So this is not exactly the answer I was looking for. Yeah. What about my shovel? Oh, thank God she's back. Thank God. Thank you. Take the baby, okay? And she takes it on the sheet. Huh. Put it on the back and leaves. And today, finally, shaman arrives. Just picture a shaman for a second. You got it? So this is what I see. It's a shaman, and it's exactly, the idea of a modern shaman I had. Long hair, long beard, someone who traded his poncho for like a leather jacket with fringe, cowboy boots, and a heavy braided, belt like with horsehair. Confident, wise, someone important. And, he has not much time. Like a lot of people came today specifically to see him, to meet with. But he's busy. He has other things to do, conferences to go to, etc. So we all go together to the little round house, and we all sit here around the little carpet with twigs and feathers and candles and water to represent the 4 elements. And we sit here waiting for him to speak. The theme of today is family. Now, ask me anything. Wait, what? Someone talks. So what should we do, for example, if there's a conflict between like a mom and a teenage son, for example, like how we can solve the conflict, between a mom and a teenage son? Communication. Communication is key. It will solve all your problems. No shit. This is what I came for, and it goes for an hour like that. So, should I leave my husband? Maybe. Depends on the context. Quoi? How should I raise my children without like the idea of punishment? A mother has to do what she has to do. I get out of this roundhouse pretty confused and honestly a little bit angry. I just brood over all the hopes, I placed in him in order for me to, I don't know, think about my life. And, I was so ready to listen to his wisdom and what he has to share. And I think about all the journey I made to get here. For what? To hear that communication between people is important. Why, what did I learn by grading horse shit and talking to my soup? Will hugging a tree help me find the purpose I'm looking for? Should I add, river watcher on my resume? This is, wait. Am I seeing that right? Is it Chamalou smoking a huge cigar on this tobacco-free property? Wow, that's great. Thank you, Chamalou. Wow, this wisdom, I'm like, that's such a waste of time. Like, I think I just wasted my time here. Wait. Did you see that? Okay. So maybe, once again, I made a choice based on a poor amount of information. I got here in the spiritual center thinking that shaman would help me. And once again, my ignorance teach me something unexpected. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this beautiful sound I've been hearing for weeks now at any time of the day and at any time of the night. This sound is the magnificent sound of a llama farting. Did you know that a llama's fart sounds like a trumpet? Is it crazy? I left the spiritual center that day with a big smile on my face.
I swear, I thought somebody had a bad cough. Honestly, yeah. I was like, wow, but she's right on it. Every time that cough, there's a line for it. Coline Lebeau. All right. Alexa, is this chair needed? Do you know? All right, I shall leave it. All right. To round out the evening, our third and final piece is The Pit. I'm going to put an asterisk next to that and explain afterwards. With Christian Jimenez, Jackson Moran, and a musician to be named later. The Pit is a residential hotel that houses 5 immigrant families, an engaged couple, and a 73-year-old man. And for every problem that's fixed, well, another one crops up. And again, this is Christian Jimenez, Jackson Moran, and a musician to be named later because they're not actually going to perform the actual pit piece. They're going to perform music from the pit. So I heard a little warming up, sounded good. The Pit Band, everybody.
How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good.
I've been there here, oh how many nights. I hear the lyrics, something like you're mine. I'm out here, hey, true. Smelling nothing, I miss the breeze. They died here with their many lives. Near empty lakes, drowning like a main fire. Sunshine.
I've never been to a shrink before, so I don't really know where to start. I mean, my father, he was he's not the best guy, but he is the great dad, greatest actually. He fed us and he sheltered us. So you know, I mean, you ask for, right? I just never really got on that level with him, you know what I mean? Like, you know, having kind of a friend who's kind of like waiting on, you know, he was really the best at that. So, I don't really know how to ask you for help, or is that what you do here, like ask for help, or I don't know, they did before, so yeah. I love him though, you know. At points I did hate him, but I love the guy, you know, I love everything I have because, you know, it's my dad. Well, I guess that's it. The carnival wheel spinning above the trees. God can with it. It's so please. Give me 3 reasons, no 5 for what's happened to me. Because I can't keep believing things will get better over time. Just don't want you to go away. I can't get it this way. I just want things to change, cause my life is right here. And I guess I shouldn't tell you, but out of fear. So I went back to the carnival grounds. Closer to the crowd. And talked to everyone. And they're just running around. Just don't want you to go away. And I just can't let you leave. Well, I say, you only seem so tightly wrapped and up in the way that I never was. And you seem so gentle in this world. But I mean, all I can ever do is run because I just don't want you to go away. And I just can't let you leave while I stay. If I were to go one day, would you even care to ask? Who knows? I wouldn't even care to ask. Or no. Even care to ask. I would ask. You say the city feels no good. So go. I asked what I would do. Oh, you fucking asked what I would do. I go.
Thank you.
A hit band, everybody. Well, now we have come to the front of night, I think. Well, we're at, this piece is over, right? I'm sure I'm gonna do things stupid, I don't wanna say it's time for the Q and A, and then suddenly the guys come back out to play another round. Okay, anyway, so, Gerry, Coline, and the band, you guys, if you can find yourself some stools or chairs back there, come on out. Cause I bet folks have some questions for you. So we'll take a little pause here. While we wait for our performers to come out. If I was really a nice guy, I would go backstage and get the chairs, but maybe I will, maybe we're.
We got it.
Beautiful.
Oh, there we go.
Well, this was a very eclectic lineup, they would say, of performers and performances tonight. Who has a question they'd like to start off with? All right, oh, this gentleman here.
Hello, my name is Evan, and my first question is for the audience. Did any of you know about this event tonight from the newsletter this evening, or from a previous newsletter? Are you mostly, if you're a friend of a performer on the stage, please bring your hand up. I have a leading question because I'm the general manager and I want to see where you came from. Thank you. All right, so for you guys, I have a lot of 3 quick comments. So the first one, Mademoiselle, c'était extraordinaire. It was really fun to listen to you, and it was really great. You have excellent time, Mr. Second Guitarist. It was great. When you brought out your licorice stick, as we call it in the business, I was terrified because my father is a professional woodwind player, and I was thinking, oh my God, don't! And it was great. You have a beautiful tone. Keep working on it. And take the instrument. You know, I'm going to go quickly back to you. And for our lead singer, thank you so much for taking this chance and doing music for us. That was great. Super, super. For our I want to know, was this a strictly autobiographical piece? Or
Yes.
It was. Okay, great. And for me, I was left with 2 burning questions that I wanted to know, that my brain just wanted to know. It's like, where's his dad? And how did you like to now? Because your mom, your
You're
mom,
looking at it.
right? Your mom predicted doom, and I just want to know. And do you feel comfortable talking about it?
Sure.
A little bit?
I know, those are really long and complicated questions, so I don't want to usurp everybody's time here. My father, fought in World War II, he fought at D-Day, and when he came back, he had nothing.
Mm.
And he grew up on a farm, and he never went to school, so he couldn't read. And he just sat, never missed a day of work. And but again, you know, obviously when people grow up in a situation like I described
Right.
in this piece, one thing that's left out is that my mother's brother, who was way different than she was, ended up living with us. And he taught me a lot. And so my mother would always say I couldn't read, I couldn't write, and so forth, but he was teaching me how to read, write, and so forth. But in her mind, and she was mentally ill.
What should you end up doing for work?
And she,
No, you. What did you end up doing for work?
I was an educator.
All right.
And I want to say too that a lot of the students that I dealt with, what I described to you tonight was a walk in the park to compare to what they have to deal with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can't tell if that was a hand up in the front row there.
Just scratching my.
Uh,
Oh, yeah, I have a question.
Or maybe it did.
No, I just wanted to say thank you so much for your performances. It was great. Really good. It's very refreshing to have something live. It's amazing. It's really good from this point of view.
Did you ever see Benita again?
Yeah, I did. That is not how we parted. She left the school and I never found out for sure if she let me win until my freshman year at college. She was going to the University of Michigan and I was going to Eastern Michigan. And we were at a party. And that's when, by then I reconciled myself that I was not the fastest guy in the world. So I could ask her freely at that point. And she told me what's in the place. She told me when she was in college, not when she was in 6th grade. We went out a few times, and this is really true. She said that she couldn't see me anymore because I was too ghetto. That's true. That was my wife saying you are too ghetto.
So with that story, does the story continue? Was this just a part of it tonight?
Yes, I told really, it's now it's a 3-story event, and and last March I gave the last part first. I didn't know I was going to even do another one of these.
Because when you stopped,
yeah.
when you stopped tonight, I wanted to hear more.
Oh, good.
I wanted to hear more.
Well, in March I hope to
Okay.
get another one and fill you in after that.
I have a question. So for Coline, what was the weirdest or strangest thing you saw Shaman do or say, even if it's anecdotal?
Well, I wish I saw him a bit more. Yeah, at one time, he was telling us that he was a bit God in some sense. No, it was just like, oh, he represented this kind of old image of a traditional shaman, and actually he was just so hyped, like he was just so on top of it. He was just like, scrolling down his phone and just be like, oh, I'm gonna be there and there, like on the phone all the time, and just smoking a huge cigar. That was just, yeah, the last straw. But he didn't do anything else weird. Just maybe what he was saying or what he wrote in his books were a bit weird. But he wrote a lot of books. If you want to look up Shamanou, amazing.
Yeah, what's he doing now?
But he's a full-time shaman. Yeah. Full-time shaman, yeah, really happy with his life.
And
Yeah.
for, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just one more for the
Sign names so we don't just do, the big fans.
Jackson. I'm Nathaniel. I'm Christian.
yeah, really great performance. It was a really interesting concept. Like how did you guys come up with the kind of music slash storytelling this?
Yeah, so Christian and I started writing a play a little while ago called The Pit, about some of Christian's experiences and some things we experienced together. And we performed a large piece of that at the last Monday Night March set that we did. And this time around, we want to score it, maybe turn into a film eventually. So we had been jamming, we jammed together a lot, and our friend Nathaniel is a genius on the clarinet, or the licorice sticker. And so we were like, we want to try some weird music out and see how people react. So
Just let it all out.
we really haven't exactly we didn't know what format we wanted to do, so we just threw a couple things in there. One of the monologues that we're sort of working on, and yeah, so that was sort of it's a potential score for the play slash film slash whatever we end up doing. And there's more songs, and they'll change the ones you saw, you know, whenever this actually comes out. But yeah, so if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it felt quite cinematic, so,
thank you.
so this is, yeah, it makes sense.
So I actually have a question for each of the groups that went today. It was clear that you were telling your stories with quite a bit of passion, whether that came through song or through the emotion you were conveying or through the turns that your tale took. And so my question for each of the groups is, what could help you to tell the story you're telling tonight? Like, why did this have to come out in this form?
I mean, you want to go first?
I was really thinking about the students that I dealt with over 3 decades and what they had to deal with. And, you know, I could have told their story and it would have some emotion to it, but I think talking about what happened to me, and I think it's kind of unique. I don't think you come from an insane upbringing and be able to carry on. I was reading that people who grew up in such an abusive home life usually don't live to be 40, either through homicide or through suicide, or through just bad health. But I mean, I dealt with students who, 9th grader who, and this was in the suburbs, it wasn't in San Francisco, whose father would take her clothes off and then tie her to the furnace and then turn the furnace on. She was 14. So what I'm saying is that I could tell you those stories, but I don't know the dynamics where this is very visceral. And I feel like, not being a trained actor, that I could really get deep into that. And so this is the only second time I've ever performed anything in front of an audience. And what I was reading is that if you find something that you can really get deep into, it'll come through. The emotion and so forth will come through. So that's why I chose this story.
It certainly did. And thank you for your vulnerability.
Well, thank you.
Well, I guess the Pit it's a residential hotel, just single room occupancies, and basically I've been living there for like my 8 years, I think, and like, you know, everybody shares bathrooms. They share bathrooms, the kitchen. Like families live in these like families like 6 or up to like 8 live in this like little room all together. So, you know, I guess compelled me to kind of, compelled us to kind of write about it and kind of like the experiences in it, because back in May, Monday Night March, we presented the play with the scenes of like things that happen in the building and kind of the experience of the people living in those apartments. And this time around, I guess we wanted to write a kind of like music to it, you know, because music's really important to us, you know. We're both very like, passionate about music, so we're like, yeah, let's do some music to it, you know. Yeah, you have something to say too.
Oh yeah, I just think last time I was in here, I said some word, must have been like bingo or something, and it echoed really nicely, and I was like, we gotta get a freaking guitar in here. No, I think it was Maserati.
Maserati. It wasn't now.
I don't know. Yeah, that's.
For me, I think I discovered storytelling in the States when I arrived here, because it's not something that exists in France, really. And I don't know, I just love telling stories, I guess. So I tried for the first time here last year, and I really liked it. But then I started improv, and then I decided to tell this story, because even though I'm making fun of it, and yes, I was kind of disappointed by I mean, that was such a big discovery, right? Like, it actually really sounds like a trumpet. I swear. I swear, it's so cool. But it actually changed my life to go to the spiritual center, because I really took the time to think about everything. And this is how I ended up just doing my master degree. And yeah, it shaped my life a little bit. So it's was just a fun way to get there.
Yes.
Well, quick question, wait, how much longer did you stay there after you met your, the guru or whatever?
Oh, I left the next day.
Oh.
Like, nope. And my friend was just like, let's get out. It's not possible. Yeah, no meats, no salt, like it was, yeah. It's not that we were starving, but a little bit.
Comment for Coline. I don't want to disappoint you overly, but there is actually an ashram in Santa Cruz in the mountains where
That's great.
it's easier to get to than wherever you were. They're Indian, and so they actually serve Indian food, so they have spice. And best of all, the yogi took a vow of silence, so you would never have to hear it say.
Who else has a question?
For the band, you envision any other instruments, or is this kind of what you're working with and thinking of using?
Probably synthesizers at some point for the atmosphere. And then maybe some kind of improvisational dancer. Specifically for the sonic aspect of the show, maybe on the side of the stage, like a translator but for the music.
Oh, do you all live in the pit? Or just you?
Oh, just me. I'm out of it now.
Oh.
I'm moving to my new apartment in July, so.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, in the back.
We any stories from the pit, like when can we hear the stories about the experience? Because tonight was just music, but more stories.
Oh yeah, there are more stories. I've been trying to contact this one person who kind of works with that apartment about the landlords who live there, because I remember I was as a kid, I didn't really like take in what was going on here. I was just like, oh, this is normal. Like, pee on the ground, it's fine. Like put a little food there, it's fine, it's normal. But he has kind of like all the things that like the past landlords and like more like reports on like the building and stuff, yeah.
There were like 6 times where you and me in like middle school were just sitting down in Drury Commons Park on Guerrero and 26th, and you would just tell me these things like totally normal. Like, that is horrible.
Yeah.
That's so horrible. Why are you talking about that like that? We need to like get this down, man. But yeah, no, so you've done a lot of research, we've compiled a lot of that already into the script, there's more. But like once we find a proper theater space, it will take us for a couple of weeks, we wanna throw the whole thing down. And that's a mix of actual stories, real people that existed, and then also characters we created through the stories and through stuff like that, to create an overall narrative. So sort of realistic fiction based on a lot of real events. Yeah.
Any, I don't wanna hold us here unnecessarily, but I don't wanna make us leave too soon. Any other questions before we wrap up? Well, let me go down the row of performers, because we always like to ask, how can we find out more about what each of you is doing? Social media, website, is there some way if we want to find out what you're up to? Start with you, Chris.
No, I don't have a website. We don't have a website.
We're creating a website for the pit. thepit.com/you are here on this website now. It's probably not. Just put that up here and type it in every day at some point.
I guess Facebook, although I haven't looked at it since last June or something, but it's Gerry Courtney. Yeah, that's the only, I'm way below the whatever it is that it's hard to communicate with me unless you show up. 135 Park Street.
I don't have any social media or anything, but I do have a phone number. What is it? 415-770-2075. 770-2075. Yeah, that's it. We got it. Oh yeah, and we have a band called Silence 2.
Yeah.
We haven't really started it yet, but
There will be an
and we're
Instagram
gonna be playing at a bookstore
Yes.
on the 24th. It's called Medicine for Nightmares.
on the 8th, on the 24th. Oh, on 24th Street, on the 18th of October, Medicine for Nightmares. I think, Silence 2 will be there.
Yeah, it's gonna be different music though.
Scoundrel B presents Silence 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was like.
Or you can find me on my face. Yeah, or you can send me a pigeon. Yeah, no, there's no way to find me.
If I can have the actors for just a minute before everybody goes, I can say something for our social media. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And yeah, before we go, well, first, I would like to thank the audience.
Yeah.
because for those of us who are involved in theater in one way or another, I think some of us wondered, like, with COVID, like, would we ever, like, do anything other than on Zoom again? Zoom is great, glad if anybody's in the audience up there, but there ain't nothing to replace live theater, and it's folks in the audience that make that happen, so give yourselves a round of applause. Applause to our very creative.
Stay right there, guys. Stay right there. So what I'll do